we need to talk about a major change happening to the NFL this upcoming season. Hopefully we get all the games in. Hopefully nobody catches COVID. And hopefully we can have a very successful 2020 NFL season. We're going to talk about the NFL playoffs, which now will include a bonus, yes, count them, bonus wild card spot in each conference. So now we will have 3 wild card spots in the AFC and in the NFC. So I will go into my theory on the third teams once again next week. But I want to go into a historical context from CBSSports.com, and I'll put the article in the description below so you can see for yourself how this would work historically. So what happens is 2 wildcard spots. There will now be 3 wildcard teams in the NFC and another 3 in the AFC for a total of 7 playoff teams per conference. So the supposed 2021 schedule would work like this. So you would have triple headers during wild card weekend. You would have one on Saturday, January 9th, and one on Sunday, January 10th. One of the games would be a 4:40 Eastern Time kickoff on Sunday, January 10th, which would be broadcasted by CBS and streamed on CBS All Access. There will also be a separate produced broadcast game on Nickelodeon geared toward a younger audience. NBC and Telemundo will air the Sunday primetime game at 8:15 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, January 10th. So there's a possibility things go crazy here. The 7 seed will play the 2 seed in that round, meaning that if you are a top seed, like example, the Baltimore Ravens last season, the Ravens would get a bye. So now that 1 spot means something, because now you're going to have to play a game on wild card weekend if you're the 2 seed. So if you're the 2 seed, no first round bye for you. You have to play an extra game. Think about it. Imagine, it's crazy enough. The 2012 Ravens were a high seed. Okay? They were the 2 seed and won the Super Bowl. So keep that in mind with Joe Flacco. No 2 seeds have won the past 2 Super Bowls. So think about that. So there is a chance an 8-8 team gets into the playoffs. I would not rule that out, folks. Not at this particular moment. So keep that in mind. It's definitely possible that you could see an 8-8 team make it. So we'll get into the theory on how an 8-8 in theory could make the postseason. So money. Remember, you want money involved. I do apologize, my Kindle tablet just went out. But look at it this way. They want more money. And that's what it means here. You're going to get more money. So let's look at the historical context of the teams. It's a brief summary, but I can go into it. So let's do the last 20 years. So imagine the 8-8 Pittsburgh Steelers would have made the playoffs last season. This 3rd seed example would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Delvin Duck Hodges, who won a duck hunting contest when he was a kid, would have in fact made the playoffs. Meaning, they would have had to play the Kansas City Chiefs. So how pathetic was that? Because Kansas City was the 2 seed last year. Last year, the 9-7 Rams would have made it. And they would have played the 2 seed Green Bay Packers. So think about that one for a second. 2018, Pittsburgh would have made the playoffs as well with Ben Roethlisberger. 9-6-1. It would have given Coach Mike Tomlin even better security. So look at it this way. Does Pittsburgh even have a chance? Only time will tell. The Minnesota Vikings would have had to play the Eagles. Possibly, right? My bad, sorry. They would have had to play the Rams, excuse me. Because this is so bearing. I mean, I'm going back 20 years. So they would have had to play the Rams. The 2 seed. Right, so it's 2 seed, 2 seed. Right. Baltimore would have made the playoffs in 2017 with Joe Flacco. Remember, they had missed the playoffs because the Bengals made us joke in Week 17. Everybody remembers when the Buffalo Bills lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, did they? And looking at 2017, they would have had to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Probably a good thing the Cincinnati play might have happened. Look at it this way. If the Ravens had made the playoffs in 2017, the Ravens would have a quarterback mess right now. And Lamar Jackson would not be the QB. So, things would be a whole lot different. The Detroit Lions in 2017 would have made the playoffs. And they would have played the Minnesota Vikings. 2016, Tennessee Titans. A head-to-head tiebreaker over the Denver Broncos. But Matt Castle would have started that game as Marcus Mariota's season was over. And they would have had to play Alex Smith-led Kansas City Chiefs. 2016, and I'm sorry, Tony Page, if you're watching this video, you may have to cry about this. Your Tampa Bay Bucks would have made the playoffs. Yes. Yes. I'm bringing up a WFAN reference. The Bucks would have played the 2-seed Falcons. This would have been a very, very interesting matchup. Jameis Winston taking on Matt Ryan. That would have been a game I would have wanted to watch. Unlike the AFC one. The AFC one, I would have been like, do I really want to watch Matt Castle get intercepted 3 or 4 times? No. Don't sign me up for that. Now, Jet fans, it's a shout out to my friend Brianna and Merrick. Shout out to Ira in Staten Island. You may want to comment to me privately or something, because you're going to get mad about this. If there was a extra playoff spot in 2015, and history proves this correct, Todd Bowles would have led the Jets to a wide-open AFC playoff conference. That meant the Jets would have had to play the 2-seed Tom Brady-led New England Patriots. And that would have meant that Ryan Fitzpatrick would have been in the playoffs. How funny is that? So, look at it this way. The Jets would have made the playoffs. So even if they had lost to that Buffalo Bills loss in Week 17, if you have this system that is proposed now, you would have made the playoffs. So, Jet fans, criticize me all you want, but that's what would have happened. Julio Jones had 136 catches for 1,851 yards in 2015. So, Atlanta would have played Carson Palmer and the Cardinals. Okay, so this might have been an interesting matchup. I mean, Atlanta might have won this game historically. The Falcons might have had a chance. Oh, look at this. 2014, this would have been a complete joke. The Denver Broncos, led by Peyton Manning, would have creamed the 9-7 Texans. Yep, exactly. I would have not watched this game. Ooh. This is interesting. In 2014, the Philadelphia Eagles, led by former Jets quarterback Mark Sanchez, would have went to the playoffs. If the Eagles had made the playoffs, Chip Kelly would have gotten a longer stay. There would be no 2017 Super Bowl either with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles. And then, this is the embarrassing thing. Aaron Rodgers probably would have creamed Mark Sanchez. So, some cases, historically, I'm just looking at the last 20... Again, this is only the last 20 years. The CBS Sports article is being fair. So, I'm just going with the last 20 years that I researched. 2013, Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers would have made the playoffs over the Ravens, Jets, and Dolphins. Oh, no. Mark Sanchez would have not made the playoffs with the Jets, and Rex Ryan still would have gotten fired anyway. How funny is that? Pittsburgh makes it over the Ravens thanks to a better divisional record. The Ravens, of course, that season with Joe Flacco finished at 3-3. Pittsburgh would have made it over Miami and New York. The Steelers won the tiebreaker over the Jets based on head-to-head. Divisional tiebreaker initially used to eliminate Miami. Okay, so, long story short, Pittsburgh would have had to play the Patriots, so it would have been a good matchup with Ben Roethlisberger taking on Tom Brady. Okay, Arizona. Bruce Arians gets to make the playoffs. However, they would have had to face the 2-seed Cam Newton-led Carolina Panthers. This is so funny. Another matchup in 2012 where Pittsburgh would have played Tom Brady again. How funny is that? Now, this is something interesting. The Bears, led by Jay Cutler, would have made the playoffs and played the San Francisco 49ers. AKA Colin Kaepernick's 49ers. So that would have given me a matchup I would have wanted to watch back in those days. Sign me up. Oh, here's something funny. Matt Hasselbeck would have had to play Joe Flacco's Ravens. Chicago Bears. Chicago wins the tiebreaker over Arizona. Bears win the tiebreaker over the Eagles. And Philadelphia would have had better divisional record. And that would have been Alex Smith's 49ers. Ooh, boy. We're almost done here. Only 10 more years to go. The San Diego Chargers, led by Phillip Rivers. They would have had to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, for Giant fans, a.k.a. Matt Camper, a.k.a. my friend Laura, you're going to have to cry at me over this. The New York Giants would have made the playoffs. Also, my dad has to bash me too. The Giants would have to get over the Bucks based on win percentage in common games. The Packers actually had the same record as the Giants. We all remember that was the last weekend where Green Bay snuck in and the Giants couldn't make it with Tom Coughlin and Eli Manning. But, interesting. Playing the Bears in the first playoff game with a young Jay Cutler would have not been a good idea for Eli Manning. Interesting. Wow. The Houston Texans would have gotten in. But what are you going to do? Play Phillip Rivers and the San Diego Chargers. Wow. Interesting matchup in the NFC. Matt Ryan would have faced Brett Favre and the Vikings. Oh! This is too cute. Yes, 2008. Right. This was the weekend where the Miami Dolphins snuck into the playoffs and made Tom Brady miss the playoffs. Oh, I still remember this because, remember, the Jets lost that Week 16 game, and after that Week 16 game, Jet fans were calling for Eric Mangini's firing. Oh, that was too funny. So Tom Brady would have had to play the Ben Roethlisberger-led Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, that is too funny. Now, remember this in 2008. The Giants had the best record in the NFC, but they still lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. So how things would have been different for the Giants, because I still think in 08 they would have had... Right. So... Interesting. Carolina had the 2 seed, and the Giants had the 1st seed. Right. So the Giants still would have gotten that first round bye. Historically in 08. Yep. I'm trying to think this out. Yeah, that makes sense now. So, interesting enough, Joe Gruden doesn't lose his job. Right, John Gruden doesn't lose his job. Tampa misses the playoffs because they lost to the Oakland Raiders, which allowed the Eagles to demolish the Cowboys later in the day and sneak in as the 6th seed. Okay, right. So remember, Philadelphia got the 6th seed. They won their wild card game. Then they moved on to take on the Giants. And then Philadelphia lost to Arizona, right. And that was, of course, the second coming. The second chance man of Kurt Warner. Anybody remember the second chance man, Kurt Warner, that went to the Super Bowl with the Cardinals and Larry Fitzgerald had a career year? Yeah, we all remember that. So, I don't know. I mean, Eli Manning potentially not losing that year after trying to defend his Super Bowl chances? Oh yeah, the 07 Browns. I remember this team. Derek Anderson was having a good start in 07. And this would have been interesting. This would have been a matchup against Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts. Wow. Interesting. Adrian Peterson in his rookie season would have made the playoffs at 8-8. They would have had to play Brett Favre and his Green Bay Packers. 2006. Anybody remember when Jay Cutler took over for Jake Plummer? Oh yeah, right. Denver would have had to play Steve McNair's Baltimore Ravens. Perhaps Denver wouldn't give up on Jay Cutler so soon. Now, interesting enough, we all remember how in 2006, Brett Favre's Green Bay Packers were mediocre. But here's the thing. They would have had to go on the road and take on the New Orleans Saints upstart with Drew Brees. Yep, you all remember how that ended up. Dick Fimel would have made his last postseason appearance as coach. Larry Johnson rushed for 20 yards in 2005. Now, I guess I would have been excited to see Denver play Kansas City. Consecutive weeks in 05, yes, Minnesota would have had to play Chicago. Historically, that would have been fun to watch. Oh. Now, pathetic enough, Jacksonville Jaguars would have to play New England Patriots in 04. Joe Horn. Anybody remember him? Ooh. This would have not been good for the New Orleans Saints. They would have probably lost to the Falcons, led by Michael Vick. Well, they would have had a chance, but still, you're on the road in the Georgia Dome. Not a chance of beating Atlanta. No. Now, this would have been funny. The 03 Dolphins would have snuck in. Interesting enough. So, they don't say, they don't list in this article who would have made the playoffs. Just trying to see here for a second. Who was the 2 seed? I am going to look it up right now. 03, 04. Yeah, here we go. So who was the 2 seed? Oh. Oh, boy. This would have been interesting. They would have had to play the 2-seed Kansas City Chiefs. Now, sad reality. Yeah, it says they would have played the Chiefs in here. Okay, I'm just double checking. Oh, boy. The Vikings would have had to play Kurt Warner's greatest show on turf in 2003. The Denver Broncos. Now, the Broncos would have played Tennessee. Interesting enough, because remember, Titans were good in the early 2000s, late 90s. Now, Aaron Brooks would have had to play the Tampa Bay Bucks. How funny is that? Oh, yes. I remember when the Seattle Seahawks were in the AFC. Especially when, in the 2000 playoffs, and I will bring this up to Miami Dolphins fans. Remember your lovely QB that you worshipped? Anybody remember that guy? Anyone? Yeah. Remember that. Actually, I'm trying to think of the name right now. Just trying to make sure I get this correct here. Dan Marino. That's the guy that choked. Okay. So, young Sean Alexander played the Patriots, who weren't the Patriots yet. Alright. 8-8 Redskins. Let's see what would have happened here. Dan Snyder doesn't fire Matt Schottenheimer. So, Redskins play Jim Miller and the Bears. Oh, no! We would have had to see a Vinny Testaverde interception show in 2000. That's how bad it would have been 20 years ago if this system was around. You would have had to see a Vinny Testaverde interception show against the Oakland Raiders. This is interesting. The Packers would have had a chance in 2000 because they did sweep both games against the Vikings. And I think this was the season of, right, this is when Favre was injured. Yeah, so Batch would have had a game. I mean, maybe it would have been interesting. It would have been a good game to watch, I guess, that weekend 20 years ago. But yeah, that's how things would look. So I'm really going to have to be careful with my predictions. Because now that you're going to have 3 teams, potentially, this is going to be interesting. Now I have to think about who is going to be the 7th seed. Because fun times are ahead this season. So with that, thank you for watching. And thanks to Jeff Kerr for writing this article. Really interesting piece, I guess. So, next Thursday, I will have my predictions ready for the 2020 season. Just a little input of how this 7th seed could make an impact for this upcoming season. I'm looking forward to it. And it'll be fun to watch. So, with that, thank you for watching. Till the next one, take care.